Wendy, welcome to the podcast. It's so good to have you here, but it's also so good to have you back.
Michelle, thank you for having me. I am so honored to be here and I can't wait for our conversation today.
Awesome. Okay, so for you guys listening, I'm going to link the episode that Wendy was on the first time around. If you're curious, you can go check it out and listen. But she's back because she just wrote a book that every single one of you needs to have in your hands, and it's coming out towards the end of May. But let's just kind of start there. I would love for you to tell the women listening a little bit about like why this book is for them, what they will find inside, and how it might be different than other parenting resources out there. And just a little bit, because I love hearing about your story and how it led to this, and it's so relatable. So I'll pass it on to you and tell us a little bit about the book.
Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, this book, I think it's so fun as I've gotten to know so many amazing educators in this space and, hosting my own podcast. And I think we're up to almost 350 episodes now, just meeting so many incredible educators. I think we all have our own spin, right? We all have our own experience of how really connection-based parenting has changed our life and our family lineage. And for me, it really was just such a humbling, beautiful journey that now is crazy to sit on the mountaintop, so to speak, because I found this work when Stella was 3, my oldest. Her name is Stella. She was 3, and I thought I was going to lose my mind. I probably tell that whole story in our first episode that we did together where I was like, what is happening? This is not what I signed up for. I had just left my corporate career where I like killed it at my job, right? Like I did good at my job. I could do anything that I set my mind to. And then all of a sudden I had a 3-year-old that I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't understand. She will not do what I say and I cannot force her. So we tried all the traditional crap and it just made things so chaotic in our home. And then I walked into her preschool one day and there was a sign to sign up for this beautiful work. And then the rest is history. And I ended up becoming a teacher and founding Fresh Start Family and all the things. So now she's 18 years old. So 15 years later, Michelle, I think this book journeys from the early days when I thought I was crazy and something was wrong with me and that I was just the worst and that my kid was the worst, all the way up to now her using that beautiful strong will that she was blessed with. From birth, we could feel her strong will. She was a force to be reckoned with. But to see her use that beautiful strong will to accomplish her biggest dream in life, which is to become a Division I beach volleyball player. She was recruited this last year to a school that's top 10 in the nation, and she's an underdog. She had to fight for that. She's 5'9", in the beach volleyball world. That's like super short. And you just don't get recruited easily. And you have to believe in your dream, and you have to be persistent AF, and you have to just be gritty. And thank God this work taught us how to nurture and build up that will in her instead of squash it. Like everyone told us, you better just get control of that kid when she was 3. You better break that will. Our neighbor and church pals were like, here's this creepy Christian book, air quotes Christian, that'll teach you how to go in the backyard and grab the switch and smack her every time she's like is disobedient. And it's just, I'm so thankful that we didn't do that, because to see that strong will perform like that, and really it's not a story of like accomplishment and performance. It's a story of following your dreams and believing in yourself and advocating for yourself and accomplishing a goal that only 1% of high school athletes attain when it comes to Division I sports in college. So it's just kind of fun to be at that place now where all these theories that I teach, because the book is filled with stories upon stories upon stories. I love to teach with a lot of humility and vulnerability. Like I tell the stuff that happened behind closed doors for me, moving from being a reactive mom to a responsive mom. That's like the lineage that I inherited was high levels of reactivity and yelling and threats. And just that was just the way it was, right? Like I grew up with an Irish Catholic mom, and it was like she got punished and, like, and we got shame on you was the big thing. And I love them so much.
Yeah.
And it was intense. It was intense to change that. But all the stories, but then the strategies too. For a long time, it was just kind of an experiment, right? It was like,
Mhm.
oh, am I drinking Kool-Aid as I'm practicing this and teaching this to everybody? And now I'm like, nope, this
Right.
stuff works.
Yeah.
And now she's one of my best friends. She's thriving in life. My son is 15. He's thriving in life. And it just, we have the relationship of our dreams with our kids. They're far from perfect because they're
Yeah.
human. But it just feels so good to like have the full toolkit and to have done, I think, the healing work to know that even the messy moments serve the
Yeah.
most beautiful purpose in life.
Oh, so good. Okay, so can we talk about what connection-based parenting
Yeah.
is? Because I think a lot of us have heard of like gentle parenting or, all there's so many
Yeah.
different terms out there. And people who probably don't know what they're talking about have a lot of opinions
Oh
about the
gosh, they
efficacy,
for sure don't know what
right?
they're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So just like tell us when we talk about connection-based parenting, what are we talking about?
Yes. Well, the subtitle of the book, it's Fresh Start Your Family: Powerful Parenting to Restore Peace in Your Home. And so for years and years, Fresh Start Family is about 9 years old now. I called my body a work positive parenting, right? And I was like, oh, so how cool! Like some people, I had friends that were like conscious parenting educators, and then yeah, gentle parenting educators, and but for me, it was like positive parenting felt right. And now it's really transitioned into I call my body at work powerful parenting because it really puts you in a true power state as
Hmm.
a human, as a human being. And
Mhm.
it's a power with system that you're creating versus a power over system. And so what we always say is we help parents replace the traditional autocratic or authoritarian systems
Mhm.
that are based really in fear and force and intimidation and external controls. Because with those systems, those models, when there's a lot of fear and force and threats and punishment, there's also a lot of bribery and rewards. It just kind of goes hand in hand because everything is externally controlled. But we help families replace that with firm and kind
Mhm.
democratic parenting. So that means everyone has a voice in the home. We work hard to build up our humility skills, which means that we work hard to eradicate hypocrisy from our home.
Come
And that
on.
is so powerful when
Mhm.
you step into a position as a parent where you are able to see your patterns. You get out of a victim mindset. You stop thinking that your kids are crazy and you're so stressed out because your kids won't stop fighting. Actually, the reason why we're so stressed out is our reaction to their
Yeah.
fighting, right? Like the way
Right.
the things that we're having triggered within us, which is, I know you and I could riff on that all day long. It's like, um, so that ability to change yourself, learn how to speak to your kids differently, learn how to see them
Yeah.
differently, learn how to discipline them differently. Guess what? Their behavior changes so naturally and organically because they actually look up to you and they start
Mhm.
cooperating, not because they have to or they're scared of their iPhone getting taken away or getting grounded or getting a timeout or getting a spanking. They actually start to cooperate and do what's right, even when you're not looking, because they truly respect you and they look up to you.
Yeah.
And when I think about my greatest heroes in life, that's the way they rolled, right? Like they
Mhm.
didn't have to intimidate anyone into
Mhm.
submission. Martin Luther King Jr., Jesus, Malala Yousafzai, um, Desmond Doss, like,
Mm.
Nelson Mandela. Those are my big ones, but they
Yeah.
just embodied true power where
Yes.
they were able to influence other human souls
Mhm.
really to do what's right and to do wonderful, loving, compassionate, empathetic, uniting things,
Mhm.
just by who they were and how they behaved and how they saw others in the world.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, that's so good. So much there I want to get into, but I kind of want to start with this idea. I'm sure there's moms listening who are like, this sounds amazing. And the idea of my 9-year-old daughter actually like respecting me enough to listen to what I say
Mhm.
and join on board and not continue to talk back or whatever it is that she's experiencing, it feels so far off that it's almost like I don't think we can even get there. And your work and the book is called Fresh Start. So can you speak a little bit to that mindset of like, man, I don't need, like, that feels like it's not going to happen for our family. We're too far in. I've waited too long. Maybe even your kids are older, they're in high school and you're listening to this and you're like, oh gosh, we've been running these old ways of doing things for so long. What do you say to them?
Yeah. So first off, I would say you're right for feeling
Mm,
scared about that, right? Like, no, that's not rocket science, right? Like, we know the longer we're in a pattern of doing something, the more work it's going to take to unwind the pattern.
yeah.
So you're spot on. Yes, it's a fact, right? Like, it's going to be tougher to transition and flip a system on its head, so to speak, when they're 9 or 14 or 17 versus when they're 3, 5 or 7. Now, I will tell you
Mhm.
honestly, it's all a lot of work. And you get what happens, and then what I try to tell my community is you fall in love with the journey. You fall in love with this like obsession of healing and
Oh,
challenging yourself in these new ways. Like, some people go out and train for marathons, and my neighbor, he's like learning to ride horses, and we all have these different callings, but for people in our community, they just get this spark and they're like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do
yeah.
it. I'm going to heal my family lineage. I'm going to break the cycle, and it just becomes this fun adventure that is humbling AF for sure. But I really mean it when I say it's never too late. Because what happens is those little humans that we are sure they're like too difficult, or we're too stuck in our patterns or whatever, they become like the angels of our life. They become the ones that 10, 20 years from now, you look
Mhm.
back and you're like, thank God they were such a pain in the ass, because otherwise
Yeah.
I wouldn't have humbled myself. I wouldn't have slowed down, right? To like book the therapy appointment or join Michelle's program or actually read Wendy's book and actually get started doing something to change.
Mhm.
And so it really is never too late. And it just, it feels good. I think a lot of people would use the word, this is hard, right? So like, let's
Yeah.
say if someone's like, we've been threatening timeouts and to take away their iPad, and if I don't yell, then
Yeah.
like, Wendy, come on. Like, please. I've seen some reels recently that drive me a little nuts, but I get it. I get the joke of them, but they're like, I stopped yelling and the kids didn't make it to school, and the
Mm.
toddler peed her pants and like whatever. And it's like this whole list of like, that shit doesn't work, right? And so I get it. It's funny, but actually,
Hmm.
what is hard is running your whole life on the most stressed nervous system. What
Yeah.
is hard is feeling so defeated that you don't feel like you can get your kid to put on their shoes without raising your voice or
Mhm.
threatening the tech time, right? Like, what is hard is feeling like your children resent you, right? What is hard is feeling like you resent your kid. That's
Yes.
actually like the definition of hard, of not
Right.
feeling like your kid is going to tell you the truth
Mhm.
or come to you when they make a mistake. But what our nervous system knows right now is that hard is emotional vulnerability, right?
Hmm.
Hard is humility. Like, that's what we've been kind of trained or accustomed or conditioned to think is hard. When
Mhm.
really, once you step into it and you start doing the humility work, the conscious work, the like excavating your belief systems, like
Yeah.
just bringing awareness to your communication patterns, like understanding like how punishment actually like drives your relationship into the ground. And in our work, like rules plus relationship equals respect. So as
Mhm.
soon as that relationship starts to go downhill, it's just it's then you got to move into the fear and force to get him to do what you want. So
Mhm.
that's actually, it becomes this feeling like the nervous system starts to be able to breathe, and it's not in that panic
Yeah.
protection mode all the time once you learn to heal it. And I know so much of what you help people with is that it's like it just is a beautiful journey, but like it's a wild ride, right? Like, hop
Yeah.
in and and just be ready, because it's wild. But it is, I think, I'm 48 now, soon to be 49. I know that I will look back on my life and this will be the greatest accomplishment of my
Yeah.
life, is
Yeah.
really healing my family lineage.
Come
And
on.
some of the things I've been able to heal is like, because I always use the term breaking painful generational cycles, and that comes in a lot of different ways. But like,
Mhm.
for example, yeah, for in our home, like we grew up with corporal punishment, right? That means like if you got in trouble when you were little, like you were going to get spanked. Core memories of like running around the house, being
Mhm.
chased by like a paddle. It didn't happen much, but like that was a core memory, right?
Yeah.
Other painful generational cycles is like absolute inability to solve conflicts peacefully. So
Mm.
like yelling, fighting, shaming. And then the next morning you would wake up, no one would talk about it. It would be
Wow.
like
Yeah. Nothing
no
happened.
repair, no amends, no emotional literacy,
Hmm.
right? Like the
Yeah.
self control piece was really missing, self regulation. So,
Yeah.
like, those are just some examples where I saw those in my family lineage. And I was like, I don't want to pass that on to my kids.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to jump into this wild ride, see what we can do to heal this. And now I look at my kids and I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
I did it. I did it. I taught one of my greatest accomplishments in life is that I've taught my daughter how to feel scared. And she just
Hmm.
rolls through life and she's like, oh, I think I just feel scared right now. Bravery is on the other side of scared. No one ever taught me that when I was growing up, you know? So
Yeah.
it's a fun adventure to like just look at what did you inherit and what do you want to
Yeah.
pass down and then build it out.
Wow. Yeah, it does. It takes a lot of courage. Because so many of us, right? You're like, I think we just didn't see it modeled. So it feels very new. And then second, I think there's also, and tell me if this feels true for you too with the people you work with. But a lot of the work I do, I think there's a level of grief that also comes
Oh,
with it,
totally.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's like it just feels like if you're sad or mourning that you don't have or didn't get what you wish you would have had or that you wish you had today, that it's some level of like disrespect or that it's going to hurt too much. But really it is so essential because
Hmm.
in our world, and in my opinion, sadness is an emotion that shows how much you care. And
Hmm.
so many of like the people in our community, I know your community too, Michelle, they have the biggest hearts.
Hmm.
They care so much. And so that sadness, that like connection you never had, right? Or the safety you never had to make a mistake and
Hmm.
just not get annihilated with guilt and shame. Like it's just,
Yeah.
it is sad, right? And it deserves like reverence of that
Hmm.
sweet little part of you that just wished it would have been safe to like
Yeah.
make a mistake and to
Yeah.
have someone be like, it's okay, you're human. You're
Hmm.
going to be held responsible and you're going to have to do a makeup and we're going to have to learn, but you're human. There's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with you, right? And so
Yeah.
I love that you mentioned that because it is important and it's just part of that like sacred emotional literacy piece that happens as you like build that up.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole human experience. Can we
Mhm.
get into some of the nuts and bolts? Like, I'd love to even, I was just thinking maybe we could do it in two parts because I would assume that there's a big part of parenting in the way that you teach that has very little to do with our kids and a lot more to do with ourselves and right our own patterns. And maybe we could talk a little bit about how we start to expand that gap between the trigger and how we decide to respond instead of automatically falling into a reaction. And then maybe after we talk about that, we could talk about some of the things as far as like interacting with our kids and maybe some little tweaks and shifts and strategies and mindsets that might be really helpful for the people listening to start to put into practice.
Absolutely. Two things I'd start off with there. So, one of them is like where we start everyone, it's section 1 of the book, and it's really just about the paradigm shifting.
Okay.
And that is like overarching general conditioning that we all have. Pretty much we all inherited it. It's just the way of the world. Like as I get older and especially like watching what's happening in the world right now as like authoritarian systems build, especially here in America, it makes so much sense to me why there is so much suffering, because
Mm-hmm.
in general, children have always been raised with that more autocratic or authoritarian system for the majority. Like there are some of us, these pockets, right, where we're like, oh, you can do it differently. But in
Mm-hmm.
general, like corporal punishment is still legal in 19 states and school systems in America. Like
Whoa.
it is the way. It is for sure the American way, not so much in Denmark and Sweden and stuff like that, but it is the way. So most of us just inherited that, right? So we walk into parenting with like the sunglasses we wear
Yeah.
is the belief that a misbehaving child equals a bad parent. And
Mm.
so if your kid is misbehaving at Thanksgiving table or like in the grocery store and you've got an audience, you're going to be more triggered usually
Yep.
than if you are like behind closed doors, whatever, right? Like I have so many stories about that. But really it comes down to just a general, it's like a nervous system set point, right? Of like, yeah, duh, mistakes are bad. And that's another one, right? Like mistakes
Yeah.
make you bad because when you were little and you made a mistake, that's bad. Bad. Mistake equals bad, right? So we grow up
Yeah.
and it's just this like knee jerk, very uncomfortable. Like it's a feeling of danger when mistakes happen or when a kid pushes back, where the first thing we do is we really help kind of cleanse the system, the soul, so to
Mm.
speak, of that belief system. And we step into a new one or a more accurate psychology backed belief system that is a misbehaving child equals a communicating child equals an empowered parent who can redirect with effective tools and grace and dignity. And so you just start to get into this rhythm where every single time your kid misbehaves, you start to become aware, oh, there's the knee jerk. You're being a little shit. You are purposely pushing my button.
Yeah.
You like all the things. And we move into like, okay, what could they be communicating? What is one of the needs that they are trying to get met? Like all humans are trying to get the need to feel powerful, the need to
Yeah.
belong, the need to feel valuable, and the need to feel loved met. Like all day
Mhm.
long, we're doing
Mhm.
that. And all day long, we all have emotions running. And so once we have a lot of parents that even like in just the first week, once they realize how much that undercurrent has been running in their soul and they
Mhm.
switch it just with more conscious awareness,
Yeah.
they start to feel the energetic shift in their home. And it's amazing the success stories we get from like kids behaving better and parents feeling more peace and bedtime becoming easier just with that first simple
Wow.
shift. And then as we go on, so like the book kind of pulls you through, we start with paradigm shifting and then we move into communication and modeling and then we move into root causes of misbehavior and then
Okay.
we move into compassionate discipline versus punishment. And as we move on, we kind of start to look at those deeper patterns. And as you mentioned, Michelle, the triggers, right? And like those pattern behaviors where we go to bed at night and we're like, damn it, I wish I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Or I wish I would have done that. I wish I
Sure.
would have spoken up, right? And we
Yeah.
all have them. We have many of them, like on both sides. I wish I would have. I wish I wouldn't have. But a lot of times there's like a big one that comes up a
Yeah.
lot, right? So for me,
Mhm.
that was always the reactive puff up, yelling, overpower, like jump to punishment. And then I have another side of me that's like withdraw,
Hmm.
like freeze. Like
Yeah.
yes, just yesterday I was on a call and it was like a legal team that was like supporting us with our businesses, a ton of like coaches and helpers of the world. And it was like, I got so triggered
Wow.
because I asked a question and the mentor was like, kind of like, quiet down. Like you can't ask that here. And I was like, you told me to ask it here. And it was like this feeling of hurt,
Mm.
like, and my whole body reacted, right?
Yeah.
And I shut down and I just stopped talking. Right.
Mhm.
So there all these different examples and we all have our own. So the way we teach it in the book is a certain process where we take someone from closed behavior, which is just those knee jerks, into what we would call open behavior. And there's a little process we walk people through, and it's just bringing awareness to um, really why we shut down.
Mhm.
Everyone does this in a different way, right? But like the reason why, what is the, and then we move into the space between the stimulus and the response. And we really help them look at what were we protecting ourselves from. A lot of
Yeah.
times it's a feeling. A lot of people in our community, it's scared or
Mhm.
hurt or not being enough or I'm failing, that kind of stuff. And then we ask, well, if we didn't have to be scared of that, or if we didn't have that reason, is really the way we say it, how would we want to behave? And that kind of aligns us back up to what we would call like the bullseye. And so
Mhm.
all day long we wake up and we're like kind of fresh. Like right now I'm pretty fresh. My brain's still coming online, but I'm having my
Mhm.
coffee, pretty fresh. It's very early in California. And like there's a bullseye that like I have a goal to like hit the middle. I have my stated goals, right? For us parents, that's like to be patient, to be
Sure.
compassionate, to be
Yeah.
supportive of our kids, to build them up instead of break them down, right? And like in the morning, I might hit a few bullseyes, but then as the day goes on, I get more tired and my stress load reaches maximum. My arrows probably start going off. And the key is to not be like, oh, I'm such an idiot. My arrows are like not even close. It's just like something got me off track.
Yeah.
And once you become empowered and get out of the victim mindset of like, it's the kid's fault, it's this unsupportive spouse's fault, it's time. There's not enough
Mhm.
time, right? Like all these things
Mhm.
that we'll blame, we call blame and shame patterns. Then the quicker you are to just get yourself back on track and
Yeah.
ask yourself, okay, what was the reason? Like what got me off track? If I didn't have that, how would I want to behave? And it just helps like realign you. So the next morning you
Mhm.
can wake back up and be like, I'm going to try again. I'm going to see.
Yes.
And maybe you just get a little closer to the bullseye and of being patient or empathetic or creative instead of reactive or panicky.
Yeah. Oh, so good. Something you just said at the end too that really struck me is that what I'm kind of hearing as a through line for what it means to be an empowered parent isn't necessarily that I feel empowered because I have the perfect tool in response to this exact scenario, or I have this perfect script that works. So it makes me feel empowered, or, I've seen this work perfectly 5 times in a row. So now I'm an empowered parent. It's really more of a confidence that like, hey, we're going to shoot our arrow and see where it hits and where it misses, and we have the confidence to always like come back and evaluate and reassess and recalibrate and try again and have tools to repair when we do miss, right, the bullseye. Like to me that feels way more empowering than being equipped with all these different tools and feeling this pressure to do things perfectly all the time.
I agree. Yes. And it's really about the empowerment just to understand what's happening, right? So it's
Okay.
like any type of blame or shame takes you like out of your power center. So if you're blaming someone else, you're basically thinking that you don't have power to change your situation. And if you're shaming yourself, you're like stopping any type of progress, right? Brene Brown is so beautiful at teaching us a lot from her social research. Like she's really proven that
Yeah.
if you think something's wrong with you, it will stop you from future progress, right? So it is getting back into that power center of like, oh, I actually do have options. And the one thing I'll add to that, Michelle, is
Yeah.
when you are out of shame and blame patterns and you're like, I'm a normal mom, there's nothing wrong with me. Yeah, I said I wasn't going to yell and it's 7:37 and I'm already like screamed in my kid's face that I made him cry. But
Yeah.
I'm not a bad mom. I'm
Yeah.
just learning. Stella said to me once when she was 7, it was the sweetest moment.
Mm.
She was it was one of those nights where her and her brother probably were fighting and put their hands on each other. That was my Achilles heel for many, many, many years. And I was like, that's it, knee jerk. You're going straight to bed. You're going to
Mhm.
eat your mac and cheese at your desk. No TV. And like that was one of my go-tos back then. Even after I was an educator, I would still revert back to
Yeah.
like, and I would try to make it the 4 R's and I would try to make it discipline, but really it was heavy punishment tones.
Mm.
They're crying and they're moping around, brushing their teeth or whatever. She comes into me crying, shaking, and she's like, Mama, please listen to me. Listen. She's like, look, You've, she's like, please, we don't have to end the night like this. Taryn and I have learned our lesson, okay? We've learned from this mistake. And we're just figuring out this thing called life. She goes, Mom, I've only been a kid for 7 years. You've only been a mom for 7 years. We're just figuring this thing out called life, which is something I'd always told her, which is what my teacher told me. And we can do it differently. We can end the night differently. And Stella has always been one of the ones who is the best at pulling me off the ledge, because the apple doesn't fall far. So Stella, the strong-willed child, has a very strong-willed mom. And, I've been married for 25 years, together with my husband for 30. A lot of times he can't pull me off the ledge, but Stella has always been very effective at it. But what happens when you realize that it is safe to slow down, that this is not a 4-alarm fire, your prefrontal cortex comes back online, right? And then you can be creative.
Yeah.
Then you can think of the tools. Yeah. Then you have access to what did I read in chapter or section 3 of the book? Yeah. And that is what gives you power, right? Yeah. So it's like the regulation and the self, the ability to bring that nervous system back. Yeah. Again, that's just another aspect of that power that I think is important, because we can't have the powerful influence and the creativity and all the things when we are stuck in the amygdala and we're just trying to protect ourselves in that reptilian state.
Yes. So we talk a lot. So we've kind of rebranded the podcast recently, and we're talking a lot about capacity and capacity expansion, but also capacity patterns. So I've basically created these 5 different archetypes of what's the go-to pattern when our nervous system feels overwhelmed or dysregulated or stressed. Nice. And that's what I'm hearing, right? It's when we notice we're in pattern, i.e. when we notice we're running these old go-to responses, our number one job is literally to get out of pattern and back into present, right? And we do that. We get back to present by regulating our nervous system. So it's just such a perfect tie-in. I wonder if we could end with can we role play? Not really role play, but I'd love to just walk through a few scenarios, maybe the ones that you see that tend to trigger parents the quickest. And we can just briefly be okay, this is how a lot of times we've been patterned or taught to respond. And this might be another approach that you might want to try out. Can you bring a few of those forward? Sure. And maybe we can talk through them?
Yep. Okay. First one I'll say, and I'll just use this one because this was my I'm going to eat my young, was sibling conflict.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. The pattern in our home was the older one's the mean one. She's the bossy one. And the poor little young child is just getting bullied by the older one. And then the knee-jerk thought was why is she so mean? She's bad. She's gonna ruin him. And and then, there'd be rescue patterns. And then I would just blow up at both of them. But there was a lot of extra pressure on the oldest one. So this is very common in families, right? The older one should know better and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if you have sibling conflict come up in your home at all, but we could kind of, if you want to role play, or I could just kind of share with you what it looks like the old way versus the new way. So why don't we do this? How old are your kids again, Michelle, now?
So they're 7 and 9.
Okay. Girl, boy, boys, what do you got?
Both girls.
Both girls. Okay. So can you bring something forward that they might have thought about, and we'll kind of do it the old school way, and you can kind of just check in with your body, how that feels. And I'll check in with my body, how that feels as a parent.
Okay. So pick your thing, but fighting over who gets to choose. So who gets to choose what show or movie they're going to watch, who gets to play with this particular toy, who gets to get in the car first, who gets to get, all the little, there's just the 2 of them. So all the little things that they would fight over, who gets to either choose.
And their name?
Amory is the older one. So she's 9. And then Ashton is 7.
Such cute names, Amory and Ashton. Yeah. And what is the patterning? Do they run? Do you just hear them bickering in the other room, or do they run to you and have you try to rescue them?
Yeah, it'll be first. I can hear them bickering, and then if it escalates enough and they can't figure it out, then they'll run to me and she always watches that show, and I want to watch something else. Or they'll come to me and
you know what? Stop it. Just stop talking. Stop it. I am so sick and tired of the same thing every single day. Stop nodding your head. It's not funny. You guys are entitled, and you think that I have time to solve your problems all day. It's not going to happen. You are 9 and 7 years old. Do you think I get to choose all the time? Stop it. If you keep fighting for one more minute, you will have your iPad taken away tonight because I am so sick of it. And I have the biggest headache and you are driving me crazy. Do you hear me? And I want you to repeat right now. We will not fight anymore, mother. I don't know. I'm adding it on at the end there.
Wow, that was so
Okay, so Michelle.
immediately when you started, because that was like, I don't know if you were planning to do that, but you came in so hot right away.
I
I caught
love
me off
coming in
guard.
hot.
This is so good. And you know what? I felt not only like a physical response in my body, like I started to move back away from
I know.
the screen. And then when you're like, stop smiling, I was like, oh my gosh, is she really talking to me? Because I was like smiling as I was watching you. But what was interesting is that there must be something deeper there for me because I had this somatic response, but also I knew what we were doing, and I almost felt tears like welling up in my eyes. Like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I'm so she's so mad.
I'm in trouble.
Wow.
I'm in
Yeah, I'm in
trouble.
trouble. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That is the same feeling I had yesterday when my
Wow.
mentor was like, "Can you be more quiet?" And inside I was like, "But you told me to ask this question here and I know it's intense, but I need to know the answer." And
Yeah.
it was just like in my belly, right?
Oh,
So that
yeah.
is such a great example of like how that gets passed down, right? Like that probably has been a thing in our family lineages for quite some time is that tone, that being spoken to that way, like thinking that something bad is going to happen, that you are bad for behaving that way. Like that is the
Yeah.
tone that I was. And I do love that stuff. I swear I must like, I should like still go into acting. I love acting. I think it's so fun. This is so good because it reminds me that like I need to do more workshops like that when I do this. And I love the surprise element. Okay. So let's do it again. And
Yeah.
this time I'll implement, I'll just do some stuff. And then I want to tell you why I said
Okay,
some of
good.
those things.
Yeah.
Um, because I just want you to naturally feel into it instead of thinking you have to, I don't want to explain it and then have you be like, this is what she's doing. So just feel
Yeah.
into it. So Ashton and Amory, right?
Mhm.
So go ahead and like just come to me. I'm making lunch right now.
Yeah. Mom, you said we could watch TV for just 30 minutes before we get ready for bed, but Amory only wants to watch Bluey, and we've watched Bluey every day, and I'm so sick of it. And then she pushed me off the couch, and then she hid the remote control.
Mm, that sounds really tough. How are you guys going to work it out?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I could watch a show on another TV, or maybe Amory could come down here and you could tell her what to do.
Well, I love those ideas. I think those are really solid ideas. I am actually washing my face right now. Look at this new face wash I got. Smell it. Smell it.
Ooh,
It
can I
smells so
smell it?
good. Yeah, yeah. I am taking care of myself right now. And here's the deal. I know you guys got this. This is tough. You're right. I know this is a big thing for you guys quite often, but why don't you go try something else? Maybe try a win-win. We've been practicing those. You do remember how to do the win-win steps? I feel I want, and then you have her take a turn. And then come back to me if you still need help and I'll come down. But I am gonna finish taking care of myself because I trust you guys that you can work this out.
Okay. And
So
she
how
goes
do you
off, probably.
feel?
That's what I would imagine.
Yeah. So how do you feel, Michelle?
Yeah. So first, I felt like even though you were getting ready and taking care of yourself, I felt way more heard and seen than when you were like looking right at me, but just yelling at me. Right. So like it's that,
Yeah.
which is kind of interesting. I felt like I felt empowered myself, where I wasn't coming down and expecting you, or not even
Mm,
expecting, but like there was a confidence that you were reminding me of, that I actually do have a few tools, and like you helping me bring them to mind. And then even just
yeah.
like showing me what you had and letting me smell it. There's a connection piece there too. I think that
Mm,
probably got my little brain out of, my alarm survival anger state, and helped me get my prefrontal cortex back online, so I could like be like, oh yeah, I do have some tools. And then you weren't also just like, go figure it out. You're like, go give it a shot. Right. And then let's
yeah.
see where we're at then. And I'll be here to guide you on the next step.
Mm.
Um, felt very different.
Yeah, I love hearing that, like, and as a parent, I forgot to speak to how I felt as a parent the first time, right?
Okay.
And so I'll just speak to this
True.
time. But this time as a parent, um, I just felt settled, and like I loved how I reminded myself that it's like I matter, right? So like
Yeah. Good.
I felt like it's okay. This is not a four-alarm fire, right? Like I can finish taking care of myself. And like I might, in the acting I didn't, but like in a real life situation, I would be holding space for that part of my brain that's like, oh shit, here we go again. These little shits, like, like great. One of them's going to put hands on each other, and then they're going to hurt each other, and then we're going to have to go to the ER at 10 p.m. Like I'm holding space for that, but I'm
Yeah.
also doing my tools, right? The nervous system regulation, reminding, maybe I'm doing havening, or maybe I'm, as I hear her marching up, I'm doing like
Yes.
a certain breath or something,
Breathing. Yep.
right?
Yep.
Or locking myself in the bathroom real quick to pee, but
Yeah.
then doing my breaths while I'm in there, and she's knocking, and I'm like, I'm here, go ahead. So,
Okay.
it just felt so much better for me. So the thing is so this is just this is a full chapter in the book about sibling conflict. And the big lie we've been all taught, and really we inherited, is that our job as parents is to stop, to stop our kids from fighting, right? Like the
Hmm.
goal is to
Yeah.
have kids that don't fight. That's the dream, right? And really, it's not the dream. The dream
Yeah.
is to
Good.
teach our children how to fight.
Yes.
And that is going to give them the skills to have differences. Like right
Mhm.
now, I have a super high level coach that I like. Her and I right now are like having a bit of a thing this week where we're holding space for each other. We're working through things. I'm bringing up things like, hey, I wasn't understanding this when I signed the contract. And like, can we get, and she's like, I'm seeing this pattern, and you are doing this. And then we're like,
Mhm.
okay, how can we meet in the middle? Like, how can we, and it's uncomfortable, but it's
Sure.
beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Like that's life. Like we're
Yeah.
not going to be surrounded by perfectly agreeing
Mhm.
human souls, right? Like I have a
Mhm.
team of 4, and this last year, 2 people might go this way a little bit, and 2 people might go this way with a little bit with the world. And like we've had these beautiful discussions of like,
Hmm.
okay, I want to hear each other out, right? Like, so that is the goal, and it is work.
Yeah. Yeah.
and and it's really good. So yeah, so now at 18 and 15, I've noticed over and over again, if I keep myself in check, the
Hmm.
kids move to working things out so much easier. As soon as I get involved, as soon
Yeah.
as I express judgment, tone, take sides in any way, oh, it just,
Sure.
the fire builds, right? So
Yeah.
that whole chapter in the book is really just about feeling the strength, and like stepping into like that feeling of it is safe to let your
Mhm.
kids work it out, and it's messy, and yes, some people are going to come to the table and be like, look, I got aggressive kids, we work through that. um that was our story. I have a story in the book where Stella pushed Taryn into a rose bush, and the old way would have been like, what we did first, and the new way was that we did not go to the park immediately. We sat there for 45 minutes, and we did role plays, we did redos, we did I am statements, and then we practiced win-wins. He was about
Wow.
4 or 5 at the time, and
Mhm.
she was about 8. And I remember him being like, I don't want to do this. And Stella just being like, Taryn, she's going to make us do it. So the sooner we do it, the sooner we get it done. And it
Yeah.
was such a great memory because they knew, like, I'm going to be held responsible. We're going
Mhm.
to practice this darn win-win, this peaceful conflict resolution, and then we can go on with our lives, right? And that was one of those moments where I was like, oh, I'm doing it. I'm doing
Yeah.
it. I'm slowly but surely turning the ship in a different direction for my family lineage.
That's it. And it's also just so encouraging because only from the conflict do we have the moments to teach about the conflict, right? It's like if right, so it's like a necessary part of it. And while you were sharing that too, something that my husband and I used to teach premarital courses for like 10 years. We did that. But
Nice.
part of what we would teach in there is that there's a study that came out of the Gottman Institute that said that the number one like indicator for marriages that last, right, that go the whole run, wasn't what couples fight about or how often they fight, but it was how they fight. And that's so much of what I hear. Like
Mm.
we're teaching our kids that now. Like, yes, conflict's inevitable. It's going to happen in school and at your workplace, and it's going to happen in your marriage and your own family. And how awesome from like such a young age we can start experiencing and flexing those muscles and practicing the skills that require in the discomfort of conflict. And I just, in our group program, we have a module on emotional regulation. And I always share the story that, so I'm the oldest of 5 kids. Growing up, I never saw my parents fight. And I don't even mean fight like yelling. Like I never really saw them disagree, have an argument. I never saw that modeled. I'm assuming they did it, maybe just when we weren't around. But then my youngest brother turned 18, left the house, and my parents got divorced. And it was just
Wow.
fascinating to me, right? That wasn't,
Dang.
yeah. And then they got remarried and now they're like better than ever, which is a whole other story. Yes. But I just always say I think there's a way we can even be intentional about how we handle conflict in our homes with our spouses, because I don't want to pretend it doesn't happen, because the healthier thing
Yeah.
is to like teach them how to do it. And I love that your work doesn't shy away from that.
Mm, I agree.
Yeah.
I love that story. It's such a great example. It's like it's going to happen. It's going to exist, right? And I saw the long-term effects of it. Stella leaves for college in the fall and she had like her first weekend with her team, which is, 19 girls plus the 5 incoming freshmen. I don't know
Whoa.
how these 2 lead coaches do it. They're guys and I'm like, y'all are some type of superheroes. Not only are they exceptional coaches, but I'm like 19 girls. They got to keep them all together all year. But 5 girls, they all stayed in one hotel. They had to go everywhere together, and one of them had asked Stella to be a roommate earlier in the year and then called her and was like, never mind. Actually, my parents want me to
Mhm.
room with somebody else. And she kind of blamed it on her parents. And turns out she's like a bit of like, a bit of drama, a bit of drama. And so it was like, thank you,
Yeah.
God, for cutting that cord, right?
Yep.
But to watch Stella handle that was
Yes.
really cool. And
Wow.
there was some drama at her high level beach volleyball club with like certain pairings and like squad 1, squad 2. And again, like to see how she handled it, she
Yeah.
scheduled a meeting with the head coach. She organized her thoughts. She presented her thoughts. The head coach ended up leaving like, wow,
Mm.
okay, I stand corrected. Like she had gathered all the stats to like negate what a coach had said about her being targeted all weekend. And it was just like, okay, that's what it looks like in action.
Yeah.
It's not disrespectful, but it's
Mhm.
not avoiding conflict.
Yes,
And
exactly.
and it still feels kind of yucky. Like
Yep.
she wasn't excited to go
Not
have that
fun.
head meeting with the coach.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm not excited this week to talk to my high level coach and be like, hey, I don't feel like I'm getting what I was promised when I signed this giant deal with you.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it. And it's more important to like use your voice and learn how to do conflict in a respectful way than think that conflict is bad. So,
Yeah.
and if we had more leaders like that in the world, I
So
believe there would
different.
be more peace. There would be
Yeah.
less effing war. Like, oh, it's so heartbreaking, right? Like, this is, as Mother
Tragic.
Teresa says, if you want to bring peace to the world, go home and love your family. This is
Yeah.
how we love our family. We teach them how to fight.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. Um, I feel like that's like a mic drop, but there's one more thing I want to say before I let you go. Um, can you also just speak a little bit to like, as we were kind of role playing, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, man, my kids are 7 and almost 8 and 9 now. And they come to me with stuff like that often. And I'll remind them, I'm like, hey, you guys are such good problem solvers. Like, can whatever, kind of like how you role played it the second
Yeah.
time. And I don't get a lot of pushback. They're like, all right. And they go, and 90% of the time, maybe they just figure it out.
Cool.
But it wasn't always like that. So can you talk just a little bit about like trusting the process and like understanding the
Yes.
investment, right? That it's not just like going to fix everything right away, but it's going to be worth it if we stay consistent.
Yeah. Well, 2 things. We'll speak to that second part first, and then I'm
Okay.
going to come back to what I wanted to say in a minute.
Okay.
Yes, trusting the process, right? Like that example of me sitting on the mountaintop now 15 years where I was just like, I think, you know, like every little messy thing along the way, I was like, oh God, like I wrote in here, tell the story in the book of like Stella started like experimenting with like drinking and vaping at 15. And we were like, oh no, it's not working. Like, oh God, what is happening? She's a high level athlete. And then it led to us stopping drinking. We haven't drank an alcohol in
Wow.
3.5 years after like being fish since we were like,
Yeah.
we started partying at 15 years old when we were in Maryland and keg parties by 17. And Terry
Yeah.
and I were like, oh, I think it's time we start modeling not relying on a substance, right? And that led to like the one of the biggest blessings of our life,
Come
right? Like it's
on.
just
Yeah.
all these messy moments. And we just kept trusting, like, okay, we're gonna try this tool. This feels right. Like, and now we sit at that place where, holy smokes, it is worth it, right? I will say that you do have to teach a lot in the calm times, right? Like, so for the
Good.
example of not always perfectly calm, but we try to do our
Mhm.
best to like regulate first and then teach. So the example of when we were going to that park that day and she pushed him into the rose bush, that's a great example, right?
Yeah.
45 minutes of an investment that day.
Yeah.
And it paid, the dividends were huge. So yes, the
Good.
investment really does give a good ROI.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I want to say is sometimes you just often, most of the
Hmm.
time, if you can, it's like, yeah, it's nuanced. This is something my teacher said that I studied under for 10 years. Her name's Susie Walton. She's a grandmother of like 14 now.
Wow.
She said, Wendy, you've got to trust in the humanity of your child,
Wow.
in their innate wisdom.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to make them do everything. And I'll give you an example of that. So this last a few months, we've watched Stella as she's like, she now works. She's a volleyball coach and she's like, she's making her own money and she's stacking cash and she's going to Europe, right? But she has been started to eat fast food. And like she comes home from school early. She's got early release this year, full senioritis, and she'll have Chick-fil-A, In-N-Out, Taco Bell. And like I've noticed from afar, I'm like, oh dang, like she's getting heavy into the fast food every day. And we're just kind of like, you know, and so
Yeah.
and then every day she was like, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. And we would say a few times, you know, I think we could try
Yep.
if you wanted to start help, like I could make you lunches and we could try to implement some more protein and more
Good.
rainbow food. Like, nope,
Yep.
mom, I'm good. I'm fine. I choose the healthy thing, right? And then we just kind of, you know,
Yeah.
Terry and I do our best to try, but then you kind of back off,
Let
right?
it play out.
And
Yeah.
I just, you know it, especially with the food stuff. You just got to trust, like your children will work it out. My little guy went through like a season where he was like eating 3 meals and he was like this big boy, just like I was when I was little. And now he's grown out of it. He's like healthy. So anyways, this past week, Stella, we're sitting there at dinner and again, we have not said much. And Stella's like, you know what I was thinking, you guys? You know, it's 3 months till I start training with the team. You know what I'd like to do? I'd like to start really looking at my nutrition and cleaning up my meals, especially my lunches. And I was thinking it might be cool if I start packing my lunches. And Terry and I were just secretly looking at each other
Thank
like,
you,
oh
Lord.
my God. And that next morning I was like, I made salad in a bowl and it was like all the protein. I'm like, here, I made you your lunch, right? And she's like, oh, thank you. But we were dying because
Yeah.
she figured that out.
Your
Again, like
idea
we
now. Yeah.
very minimal.
Yep.
We didn't say much.
You planted some seeds, right?
And
Just
we
like,
plant some tiny little seeds, but
yeah,
a lot of times that's the way it goes. Like
I
your
love that.
kids actually will develop the skill set as long as you don't get in the way. When you
Yeah.
add the shame and the guilt and the pressure, that's what kind of stops them from
Yeah.
progressing. But
Sure.
really, a lot of times they all of a sudden they're like, oh, I'm I'm a little bit older now, and because I had my parents' support and
Yeah.
unconditional love and safety, I now am realizing I don't want to touch that anymore. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to use those words or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
smack my brother anymore. So that's my
Hmm.
answer to that.
Yeah. And I just think some like a reminder in that too is like we're not just seeking to modify their behavior all day long,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like what we're actually trying to do is help them cultivate a heart that just desires the things that are aligned with what's best for them and for the greater good. That's
Yeah.
so
And
that's
Michelle, that is even something that I would even I like the word cultivate, and I also like the word let grow. Like back off, just let
yeah.
it grow. Like in my opinion, God's got it handled a lot of times.
Yep.
So like, yes, do it, tend to it, but also just like make sure it's got sunlight and
Yeah.
water, and for sure boundaries and limits.
Yep.
But like a lot of times we get in the way.
100%. So good. All right. Well, I feel like for everyone listening, they're like, wait, where can I get this book again? Because it's already been
Oh,
so helpful. And if you guys are listening to the show, which obviously you are, I feel like we already know that about you, that this is an approach that you would be open to and that you actually care about, the long, big picture relationship that you're going to have with your children and the life skills that you're teaching and all of it through. I just love how Wendy says it, connection and powerful parenting, right? Parenting, not
yeah.
power, not from above, but as a connection
With.
with.
Yeah.
Yes. So good. Okay. So give us the whole thing. I want obviously where everyone can get the book, but also can you just talk a little bit about all your other offerings? Because I feel like they're coming here and to me for so much of this regulation work. And I feel like it's like a 1-2 punch. It's like, let's learn how to regulate and then let's really get you equipped and empowered in how you show up in parenting.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, first things first, the book. Yes, go get the book. It's so fun after all these years of teaching to have just like such an accessible, easy purchase, right? Like $22 anywhere books are sold. Amazon, Barnes and Noble, bookshop.org is an organization that will ship it from your local stores. So that's kind of
Oh,
nice
cool.
if you want to dissent a little bit from the big guys right now. Um, and we have some great pre-order bonuses if this happens to be before May 26th. So that's
Mhm.
freshstartfamilyonline.com/pre-order.
Okay.
And we have a printable journal and implementation guide that is gorgeous, like the visuals that we have in there. It's just got a lot that you can do to implement each of the chapters. So
Good.
that's really fun. And then as far as, the things I would want to call people into, is I think if you have a strong-willed child and you want to come learn with me in the classroom, that's just the best place to really learn how to implement this into your real life. So I teach an interactive workshop. You can register at freshstartfamilyonline.com/secrets. And that's just a 1 hour class. We do some interactive learning. You can ask questions. And I just think it's really life changing because I teach three secrets to thriving with strong willed kids. And then the last thing I would say, particularly for your community, Michelle, because I just know the level of women that you're running with, and I just respect what you've built and the community you've curated so much. Is we do have a certification program that if anyone wants to layer
Awesome.
becoming a parenting coach on with what they're currently doing, maybe in their coaching business, or a lot of students do our full mastery program. It's called Full Mastery or Become a Parenting Coach program. It launches in September. A lot of people do it for full mastery. Like they just want
Yeah.
7 months of intensive mentorship with me. They want the privates. They want the small little Slack group. They don't want to, we have hundreds of people in our membership, which is amazing. It's life changing. It's called the Fresh Start Experience. But that high level one, I think, is just so beautiful. If someone wants to be like, let's just go ahead and do this in 7 months. Like, let's
Yeah.
go from A to Z in like an expedited, faster way, and then
Mhm.
be able to come out on the other end with a certification where you can go volunteer in your kid's classroom or teach at your church, or if you just want to like be like, dude, this is a second language now. Like I'm
Yes.
speaking powerful parenting versus at first it feels like you're speaking Spanish, and you're like, I don't know what word to say after
Yeah.
7 months of like deep ingrainment. It just becomes a lot more natural,
Mhm.
and that just transforms families. So that is freshstartfamilyonline.com/become a parenting coach to join that wait list. So thank you for asking about that, Michelle. That means the world to me.
Yeah. Okay. So for you guys listening, I'll link all of that in the show notes so you can just click away
Thank you.
and check everything out, and then get the book, and then choose whatever avenue feels best for you. But I think this is such a powerful investment, and something that we say a lot on our show and the work that we do is that this is legacy work, right? And that's what you're doing too. It's
Yes.
legacy work. It's like being equipped to be the one to stand in the gap, right? And to notice things in the rearview mirror that you're like, mad respect, and I'm going to choose to do some things differently. But then actually like taking the action for that to come to reality is so powerful. So again, I'm just so grateful, one, for the work that you do and the integrity with which you do it. And the fact that you're not just spewing scripts, but you're like, I walk this out, and the humility to like be real and share your stories. I think it's part of your superpower because it makes you so relatable. And if you guys like listening to me and working with me, like when I'm in Wendy's presence, that's how I feel too. I'm like, I could just talk to you forever. There's just something about you that just feels safe and homey. So I'm so grateful that you're back, and big congratulations on the book. We love you.
Thank you, Michelle. I feel the same way about you. I remember when we first recorded, I was like, did we just become best friends? Can we hang out? And it was like, no, we're too far apart. Damn it. But I have the same thoughts about you. So thank you, Michelle, for having me. I did forget to say, come find me on Instagram. I'm at Fresh Start Wendy too. But yeah, this was a beautiful conversation, and I'm so grateful that we got to collaborate again.